and welcome to a brand new episode of The Ins and Outs of Work.
I'm Nelly, aka the HR Insider.
And I'm Joe, the HR Outsider. And in today's episode, we talk candidate experience, what it is, an interesting did you know part, and the Outsider Outpouring, and we'll debunk some myths for you too. There's going to be a lot of information in this episode, so if you'd like to read up on any of the points we make today, check the show notes wherever you're listening to this podcast for all the links.
Before we dive in, however, as always, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, share this episode with a friend, and leave a review.
Happy listening.
Alright, Joe, here we are again with a brand new episode, and today is going to be all about candidate experience.
Yes, excited to get into this one.
Me too. Let's start with a definition. Candidate experience is defined as how candidates feel and behave to an employer's recruitment marketing, sourcing, interviewing, hiring, and onboarding processes.
So a strong candidate experience will make candidates feel good about your company after they see how you treat them. An even better candidate experience might make them eager to share their good feelings with others, nearly helping build your reputation and employer brand like we spoke about in previous episodes.
We did, Joe. Onto our Did You Know part.
Did you know? I love this section. This is where we tell you a little bit about facts you might not know about this topic.
So, Joe, did you know that nearly 4 out of 5 job applicants believe that the candidate experience serves as a solid indicator as to how a company values its people?
I didn't know that, Nearly.
And that 72% of job seekers report sharing their negative candidate experiences online.
Wow. Finally, Nearly, did you know that 83% of talent say that a negative interview experience can destroy their perception about a role or company they once liked? 83%. While 87% of candidates say that a positive experience can change their mind about a role or company they once doubted.
I did not know that, Joe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gives you an idea of how important this topic is.
Absolutely. Joe, do you know what time it is?
I think I know what time it is.
It is time for the Outsider Outpouring. I cannot wait. So, Joe, here goes.
Here we go. Outsider Outpouring. 30 seconds for me, the outsider, to give an outsider's perspective on this topic in HR, candidate experience. Start the clock. Here we go. So I've had a whole range of experiences when it comes to candidate experience. As we all have, you know, the thing that first comes to mind is that dreaded email. You skim the word, you see the word, unfortunately, and man, that's always a terrible email to receive. But it seems my big issue with candidate experience often is that it seems like you're running through a process and you're running through a formula that a recruiter is putting you through, not getting treated so much like an individual. So sometimes, for example, they want to give you feedback on all the things you might have done better. And is it bad that I don't always want the feedback? I'm not sure. But anyway, I think that it's time candidate experience really became an individualized thing, treating people like individuals. So that is the Outsider Outpouring for today, Nearly.
Fantastic, Joe. Start treating candidates as the individuals they are. I'm going to take that away from your Outsider Outpouring there.
Yes, thank you.
It is time for a few myths. So in this part, we feature a few myths about the topic and then we debunk them for you. Joe, are you ready?
Yes, ready.
Right, number 1, the failure to acknowledge a job application won't impact the company.
Wrong.
That's wrong.
Wrong.
44% of job seekers who didn't hear back from an employer when they applied for a job said they have a worse opinion of that employer.
Wow.
Another myth here for you, Joe. What happens in the recruitment process stays in the recruitment process. This is not correct.
It's incorrect even.
It is. 78% of job seekers said they would talk about a bad experience they had with a potential employer, with friends and family. 17% said they would post something about their negative experience on social media. Hello, Glassdoor. And 6% said, Joe, they would blog about it.
Okay, wow.
that means that they're really motivated, right? Because we both know that writing a blog is not something you do in a few minutes.
They're really sitting down and they're writing their whole experience on a blog.
Yeah.
Amazing. And the final myth for today, the third myth for today, Neely, is the top reason why job seekers don't apply is the advertisement. That is not right. It's incorrect. Because good content in a job ad is critical, but technical issues are more often the culprit for not applying. So you really need to look into that. Job seekers often cited that there was a link that wasn't working or computer internet problems as top reasons for not applying to a job, which is surprising, but true. And the application was too lengthy. And that was another of the top 3 reasons.
Yeah, Joe, nothing worse than application pages that don't load, right?
Yes. It's simple, but it needs to be thought of.
And it's my time to shine because we're going to kick off with some insider action. And in this case, that means 9 actionable tips to improve your candidate experience. Are you ready?
I'm ready. 9 tips. Here we go.
Yes. Number 1. Streamline your application process. Have somebody within your organization actually go through the application process to see if there are places where you could smoothen the ride. 2. Communicate frequently. At least set up an automated email sequence to keep candidates up to date on the entire process as well as your timeline. Number 3. Be accommodating with candidate schedules. Prove to candidates that you respect them and their schedules, and they'll return that favor. So don't keep rescheduling phone screenings or interviews, for example. Number 4, provide a designated contact person. Don't make candidates search for whom to contact. Make it clear to your applicants who their main point of contact is if they have any questions. Number 5, introduce the team. Now, a great way to do this, especially in a remote setting, can be by showing candidates video interviews with different team members. Number 6, implement a candidate feedback survey. Nobody has greater insights into how your experience could be improved than your candidates. So, don't hesitate to implement a candidate feedback survey for final stage candidates and new hires. Number 7, be gracious. Remember that a candidate took time and careful consideration to pursue that opportunity with your company. That's deserving of some genuine gratitude. 8, don't be sparse with video. Video content, there it is again, is far more engaging than anything else. So, don't be afraid to break away from the words on paper and use a different medium to get your point across. And then finally, Joe, number 9, provide a notification when a job has been filed. You do not want your candidates to find out on social media or your website that the position has been filled. Let job seekers know personally when the job they were interviewing for has been filled.
Thank you, Neely. 9 brilliant tips as always. And if you wanted to read up on any of those, there's a link in the show notes. So do check that out. Now on to the next segment. And we're going to take the next few minutes to tell you a couple of stories of really innovative companies doing this well and kind of bring all of this to life, all that we've talked about in part 1 and part 2 so far. So the first company, we all know it, it's Airbnb, Neely. Airbnb, we've probably all stayed in one.
Definitely more than once.
More than once. And so when we talk about Airbnb's candidate experience journey, they were really looking to revamp their candidate experience a few years back. And the recruiting team at Airbnb turned to a design practice that Airbnb has actually used as part of building their business. And it's really around storyboarding. So what they did was they used storyboards to visualize every step of the candidate journey. And so the founders actually used this to visualize both the host and guest experience on Airbnb when they were building the business, but the recruiting team did that as well. And so they applied this method to the interview process. So through this process of radically empathizing with candidates, the team at Airbnb really identified several areas they wanted to focus on and improve. First of those, you actually touched on it, Neely, was to figure out how to gracefully turn down candidates.
Yes.
So such an important thing to do. As you said, people take time and energy to apply, and doing that in the right way is so important. The second one was really around setting expectations around timing, because as you know, as a candidate, it can be you can be left in the dark sometimes on when things are happening, and when it's moving on. And finally, they wanted to figure out how to really celebrate the company's culture and branding through communication and the on-site experience of when people came in for interviews. So they focused on those three things, and they've done a fantastic job.
They have, Joe, and what I really like about this one is that they really treat their candidates as they treat their customers. That was what when you were talking about the storyboards that they use to visualize every step in other departments and how they apply that to the candidate experience.
Yes.
Love it.
Because oftentimes there's not a huge difference between a candidate and a customer and a potential customer.
Absolutely.
So it's a good way to think about it.
Actually, Joe, candidates often are customers or could be customers or could not be customers any longer. So
yes. As we talked about in part 1, a bad candidate experience could actually turn you off from becoming a customer.
Yes.
So something to think about. Secondly, we're just going to take the next couple of minutes to talk about another innovative company bringing all of this to life as well, and it's Booking.com. So Booking.com, this is more of a content-focused example around candidate experience. So the team at Booking.com put together a really fun, interactive multimedia experience on their working at Booking.com website. And so this was an amazing way of really putting together that experience. Candidates were able to explore career options and watch videos introducing them to prospective teammates, checking out a day in the life in various offices. And all in all, it was just really a self-serve kind of environment, which is really cool to see. So obviously we know with the internet and with all this media, like we can find out a lot about different things in our lives, but oftentimes with companies, it's difficult to really get a sense of what it's like there. But Booking.com did that so well. So there were blog posts, photos, videos, infographics, and you really just got a sense of what it's like to work at that company. The site also addressed sort of common candidate questions even before they might have applied, and provides tips on how to excel in the interview process.
Nice.
So you just get a picture of having this really clear overview of what the company is all about even before you've applied.
Yeah, and I love this concept of building this self-service environment for candidates, show how they can really pick and choose all the kinds of information that they might be looking for, and the video element, of course, that you mentioned and that we talked about as well in our tips part.
Yes.
I was thinking, Joe, when I heard your examples, Airbnb and Booking.com, they are all in the holiday department, are they? Does that say something about us it being in need for a holiday, you reckon?
I think it may, actually. Yeah, I'm going to get on Airbnb and Booking.com right after this.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. This was all for today's episode. Join us again on Monday because we continue our ride along the employee life cycle, and we are going to continue this fundamentals series with remote onboarding. So we are going to give you, again, everything you need to know to do it right in 2021.
Yes. See you next week.
Bye.